welcome to the TPN podcast, now with sound.
Yeah. I'm good.
After much difficulty,
Yes, indeed.
I've been able to get Tommy on the line this time because YouTube decided to change the whole system. So Tommy, introduce yourself for us quickly.
Hello, I'm Tommy. I've been on here before. Thank you for having me. And vote Conservative.
Oh, well, you're a bit. That's a bit unbiased, isn't it?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
So, what's the main topic for today then?
Well, of course, it's the big ITV debate they had last night between Boris Johnson and Jeremy Corbyn. Not Jo Swinson, because the case fell through.
No, but she said she's going to appeal the case and sue him.
Yeah, but no, they went on to have a debate about many issues, in Brexit, the NHS, and even Prince Andrew for a couple of
strange
minutes.
reason, which I don't think they should have, but there we are. So, let's break down the Battle of Britain, shall we? As we're going to brand it. So, at 8 o'clock yesterday, we had Boris Johnson versus Jeremy Corbyn. And, well, what can we say about it then, Tommy? What verdict have you got from the debate?
I think Boris Johnson won. However, the debate itself, I think it kind of shows how angry the people are at politicians in general. Specifically, there was a question about trust, and no matter what either of the two leaders said, the audience was laughing because I think the trust is gone in politics. So I think this debate just showed how frustrated Britain is with the last 3 years of a parliament which was just dead and weren't doing anything. And you can really see that frustration coming through during that debate.
Yeah, I think in the whole thing of the debate is I don't think there was any major winners or a major win for anyone. It's not like there was a massive mic drop moment that left the other speechless or anything like that. I don't think in this debate there wasn't like Boris Johnson came home with a stomping victory. Corbyn's absolutely humiliated and in tears. There wasn't anything like that. So I thought the debate, I think in terms of debate, there wasn't a whole much of anything to go, wow, oh my god, he's finished him or anything like that. It was more okay. I don't know how to describe it. How would you describe how the debate went?
It was it was not an interesting debate. There was nothing that stood out. No one really left an impression. I personally don't think anyone left an impression. I thought Boris Johnson performed better, but there was no, as you said, there was no real moment which you know all of the commentators will say, oh, that's the moment that changed the entire campaign.
Yeah.
There was nothing like that. But because there was only, and I don't agree with what Jo Swinson said, however, this only had 2 of the party leaders in.
Yeah.
ITV are planning a second debate with, I think it's 7 of the party leaders. And I remember watching that one in 2015, and that was a lot more interesting. There was a lot more stuff going on, a lot more back and forth in that debate.
Yeah.
I think when you have less people in a debate, there's less stuff to talk about, and the less interesting it is.
I think the whole purpose of this though was, like you said, the back and forth. This format was completely different. It wasn't like a back and forth debate as such. It wasn't really. We say they did this debate. It wasn't really a debate, was it? It was more of a Q&A session between the two leaders.
Yeah.
they didn't really have a chance where Jeremy Corbyn and Boris Johnson would sit there and debate among each other for like a couple of minutes. They didn't really have that. I think it was something like, here's your question, you got 30 seconds to like say your point on it, and then we're moving on.
Yeah, it was too short. I mean, it was about an hour's long debate plus ads. It was too short. I was a little disappointed with the way ITV did that, because as you said, and I think it sums up pretty well, it was more a Q&A session than an actual debate. Now in the 2015, I'm only going by 2015 because that's when all the party leaders attended that massive ITV debate. That had a lot of back and forth. They were like bringing things in, and even the one back in 2010 between David Cameron, Gordon Brown, and Nick Clegg was it still had more back and forth, and they had more time to talk to one another. In this debate, Boris and Corbyn, they didn't really talk to one another. I think Boris Johnson was trying to kind of debate with Jeremy Corbyn. However, whenever he attempted to do that, the host kept saying, "Oh, you're out of time. You're out of time. You need to stop. Just stop now." I have to admit, I didn't really like the host. I felt she was a little weak. She let both candidates run over on several questions, and other times Boris was like asked a question, and he'd be like 10 seconds in, and then she'd be saying, "Right, no, stop. We don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of time."
Yeah.
So I think that's why everyone kind of came away from that debate kind of feeling deflated, and that nothing had been gained from it, because it was just a weird format. I hope if they do the 7 lead, it's at least an hour and a half long, so you have a lot longer to kind of have a proper debate going instead of what they did there.
Yeah. There will be more chance for more debates. Question time this Friday will be there will be a special where at night 7 o'clock there will be the Conservative lead. So Boris Johnson, Jeremy Corbyn, Nicola Sturgeon, and Jerry Swinson will take place in question time. Which question time format, there can be a bit of debate, but it's mainly just taking questions from the audience in this way. Actually, saying that, I don't know whether this format will actually be where they get to debate like additional question time, because I've seen it before where question time leader specials where it's literally they bring out one leader at a time to face questions from the audience. I don't know, to be honest, I don't see them actually bring them out on the table and having the full-way debate. 29th of November will be the 7-way major debate. So the 7-way, as you said about the 2015 election, so the 7-way debate is happening on the 29th of November.
Yeah. I think the question time one, I'm pretty sure Theresa May and Jeremy Corbyn did a question time one last.
Yeah.
And they came out like at different points. Theresa May came out and then went back in. Then Jeremy Corbyn came out and went back in because May was scared of like debating with people. Obviously, Boris has already shown he's not afraid to debate leaders.
Yeah.
I think the 7-way debate will be a lot more interesting because you got Nicola Sturgeon, you got Joe Swinson there, you've even got Nigel Farage there, and you've even got the Green Party. I don't know if someone from Change UK has been invited yet.
No. Plaid Cymru though is there, the Welsh party.
Yeah, Plaid Cymru is coming there.
Change UK is not.
It's going to be very interesting because if you look at the 7-way debate, you've got probably 5 parties which in practice and principle are opposed to Brexit, and you've got 2 political parties which are going to be for Brexit. Now, many people could say that that's biased, that they shouldn't have that. However, the British public love underdogs.
Yeah. And
in that debate, Boris Johnson and Nigel Farage, they're going to be considered the underdogs because they are the 2 Brexiteer leaders on the debating panel. The other 5 are going to be other 4 will be Remainers. No one knows really what Corbyn is, a Leaver
I don't even think Corbyn knows what he is.
So
depends what
I honestly don't know. I think many people with this ITV debate, I think Sky News summed it up. They said that Boris Johnson kind of had a lot to lose in this debate because he's ahead in the polls at the moment. Jeremy Corbyn really needed to prove himself, and nothing really got sorted. Boris Johnson won. I think it was like 51% thought Boris won, 49% thought Jeremy Corbyn won. But it was just not a very good debate. It was very not. I weren't interested. I weren't invested in it. It just seemed a bit dull and boring.
Well, it wasn't really a debate. I don't think.
No, as you said, it was more Q&A.
There was some bits where they tried to do a bit of back and forth, but then the host was said, "Nope, answer your question and shut up."
No, that's what I said. I felt quite ironically, I was surprised because I know this was different, but when ITV hosted a debate between in the Conservative leadership election, they held a debate between Boris Johnson and Jeremy Hunt. Yeah. And I actually thought that was a really good, strong, well laid out debate. Even the Channel 4 debate was very, very well done. The only debate I didn't like during that race was the BBC debate.
The BBC was a bit iffy. It could have been worse. Could have been the Channel 4.
Yeah. I to be honest,
Channel 4. Oh my god, awful.
ITV are the best people to do debates, in my personal opinion. I just hope with the 7-way debate they do the exact same format they did in 2015 because it worked then. I think during that debate was when actually I decided that I was supporting David Cameron and the Conservatives during that debate. It was during that debate I decided I'd be supporting them.
Yeah.
And I've rewatched that debate. I rewatched debate. Shut up. Well, no, it's very interesting to see actually rewatching debates. But I'm looking forward to the one on the 29th. That should be quite interesting, I think.
Yeah, it's probably going to be carnage. At least it's not.
Well, actually,
oh shit!
I've read somewhere people are saying, and this is even Remainers. The more they see of Jo Swinson, the more they dislike her. So people actually, Jo Swinson is one of the most arrogant politicians I have ever seen. Yeah. Even more arrogant than Anna Salisbury. She just seems so. I mean, what happened to the not great Lib Dems, but the more dignified and decent Lib Dems like Nick Clegg, who you know were more civilized. You know, they didn't really have a go at anyone. They were just nice and kind. Jo Swinson is kind of always shouting and complaining and just kind of having a go at everyone. She's not siding with Labour. She's not siding with the Conservatives. She's working on getting a majority Liberal Democrat government, which means she has to increase She has to increase from. Let's go by what seats they got in the last general election. She has to increase by 12 seats to 326 seats in the space of one general election. Now, if that was the case, that is one of the quickest rises of a party in, I think, maybe even world history. Oh no, it's the trust in politics is gone, and I think the public are gonna really struggle to decide who they're gonna vote for during this election.
I think like Boris Johnson made Jeremy Corbyn look a bit like a numpty in some bits of the election when he asked him where does he stand on Brexit. If Labour was to then go negotiate a deal, then put it back to the people, would Jeremy Corbyn negotiate a deal that he would actually believe in, a deal that he would actually think would be good for the country, and would he negotiate a deal that he thinks would actually be good? Because Boris actually raised the issue in the debate. Would Corbyn intentionally go and with the plans of negotiating a bad deal so he can put it to the table and said, "Oh look, this is the Brexit we can do, or this is all Remain." That's you don't know where he actually stands. Would he actually want to actually go and get a good deal if he got elected, or would he just negotiate any old taff and hope people vote for Remain?
Yeah, but Jeremy Corbyn basically said he would take 3 months to negotiate a deal, then 6 whole months to hold a referendum. So that's 9 months
Of
later.
which his party would campaign against the deal we would negotiate.
That's 9 months later. And what he said was, when asked whether he would support remain or leave, he said, the government will enact what the people say. He didn't answer the question. He just kept saying the government will enact what the people say. Sorry, I don't see people like Emily Thornberry enacting a leave vote if we have another referendum and we vote leave, which I think could actually potentially happen if there was another referendum. So I don't think Corbyn... I feel sorry for Corbyn in a way. He is a historic Leave voter. He's on the hard left of Labour. Historically, he is very Eurosceptic. He wants to be out of the European Union because they don't actually allow for a lot of his nationalisation programmes, which he wants. But he's in charge of a party which wants to remain. So I feel no wonder there doesn't seem to be any life in him when he's debating, because he probably doesn't actually agree with half the stuff he's being told. I mean, those sheets of paper that he had, which he was reading from during the debate, they were probably written by John McDonnell before he came on. It really. I'm still confident that Boris Johnson is going to win this election.
Yeah.
If he performs like he did in the next couple of debates, I think that he will be okay, unless there's some major publicity failure or the manifesto doesn't go down too well with people. Then I think he's likely to get him with a slim majority. I don't think he's going to get a massive majority. I think it will probably be a slim majority, but a majority is a majority, no matter how big it is. I just I don't see how Corbyn could pull this off.
Yeah. At the moment, the polls are indicating Boris Johnson will get a majority, but saying that, you can't trust the polls, because everyone was saying, Remain was going to win and all that stuff, and a bunch of things led to one another. Polls can sometimes be a bit misleading, but one of the polls we look at quite a lot is the electoral calculus, as recommended by Mr. Bowyer. At the moment, they're predicting that the predicted seats for the Conservatives is 361 and 207 for Labour. But the low prediction that they went for Conservatives was 278, and the lowest seats that Labour could get is 123. But saying that, they also said the highest amount of seats that Conservatives could win is also 441. I didn't see that happening, but this is
take many by surprise.
I know this is where it gets funny though. Do you know what Labour's highest predicted is?
What?
275.
That's only a slight increase from what they have now.
You should look in at the statistics for for the predictions. Apparently, there's a 1% chance Labour will win a majority.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of people say. I know we said the polls have been wrong before.
Yeah.
I think that Calculus website predicted that Theresa May would win like a 50-something seat majority. The difference being, and I think I said this last time we had a podcast. If you look at the popular vote in 2017, both the Conservatives and Labour Party both got over 40% of the popular vote. Yeah. Now that's very rare. That hardly ever happens that both major parties get that. Yeah. And that's what caused the strange results, because Labour did very better than what they did in 2015. Conservatives did better. However, because of the way the popular vote works, that just meant Conservatives had a little bit of a lot.
Theresa May got the most votes in history, I think, of the amount of people that actually voted for her.
But in this election, Boris is currently predicted to have like 43% of the popular vote, like that.
Yeah.
And Corbyn's predicting to have 20-something% of the popular vote. When you've got it as more lopsided that way, that's when you get the idea that Boris could actually get a majority government, because Jeremy Corbyn's popular vote has declined. He's one of the most unpopular leaders of the opposition in UK history. So if Boris doesn't say anything stupid and the polls don't change, if we get to the if we get to the 11th of December, and I look at the polls and find that there is still quite a gap between the Conservatives and Labour, then it is probably likely that the Conservatives are going to be the largest party in Parliament, if not with a majority.
So if we look at the current polls at the moment, Conservatives are on 42, Labour's on 30. And when there's that gap, then that's when there could be a large majority, when there's that gap.
Yeah. It all really depends on the popular vote. And of course, it depends on the margin. Tactical voting is going to be happening in this election, especially between the Lib Dems and the Greens and Plaid Cymru. To be honest, people go on about tactical voting in every general election. They went on about it in 2015. They went on about it in 2017, and usually tactical voting doesn't have a massive impact because people know that there's tactical voting going on. I mean, there's sites established, Remain supporting sites, I might add, telling you who to vote depending on what seat you are in order to stop a Conservative candidate getting in. To be honest, I don't think tactical voting is going to be a massive influence in this general election. I think the Conservatives are going to make some massive gains from Labour. The only place I can see the Conservatives losing seats is primarily in Scotland.
Yeah.
I think they're going to lose quite a few seats in Scotland to the SNP. But apart from that, I think the Conservatives are going to make gains during this election. I'd be surprised if they made losses.
Yeah. If they made losses, I'd be very surprised, especially with Boris at the helm. If they make losses, then something's gone very wrong.
Yeah, it's a very peculiar election because, of course, a lot of members of Parliament are standing down. So there's a lot of new, fresh faces that will be trying to gain seats. We have one in Northwest Norfolk. We have a young, well, I don't know if he's young, but he's a new Conservative candidate hoping to be elected. And it looks like he is going to be, because Northwest Norfolk, a pretty safe Conservative seat.
Very.
So I think it depends on the marginals, and if Boris can overcome all the debates, and if the polls stay as they are, then Conservatives quite easily will be able to form the next government.
Yeah. Yeah, so they won't even need the DUP anymore.
No. Thank God, I'm not a fan of the DUP.
No,
they're too right wing in some of their views, especially on matters such as abortion.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. They're too right wing, and plus the DUP are actually in trouble in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
I think Sinn Féin is Sinn Féin or some of the smaller Northern Irish parties are looking to unseat quite a couple of DUP MPs. Because if you think about it, the DUP said that they would not vote for this deal which Boris Johnson has negotiated. However, they ended up voting for this deal which he negotiated. So I think quite a few DUP MPs will not be returning to the Parliament. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it depends if Boris pulls off a majority or not.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know. If Boris does win the majority, he won't need the DUP anymore. It's possible they could lose seats as well, the DUP. Not by too much, but I can see it happening. Sinn Féin probably not going to make any gains, I'd imagine. But what else?
I think
you got the Alliance Party as well in Northern Ireland as well.
Yeah, the Alliance is an odd one. It's kind of like the Lib Dems of Northern Ireland. They're kind of a centrist political party. They'll probably make some gains in this election, I think. You know, I don't. Sinn Féin usually don't win. If you vote Sinn Féin, then usually that constituency just votes Sinn Féin no matter what, because the MPs don't take their seats in Parliament anyway. I don't see the marginal seats really voting for Sinn Féin MPs. Because if you want to solve the deadlock in Parliament, you wouldn't elect an MP who doesn't take up their seat, because that doesn't make any sense anyway.
I know it's a weird one. Especially Northern Ireland politics and in UK Parliament, it's a very odd one.
It'll be fun to see in this election. A lot of the conversion candidates, like Sam Gyimah or something.
Sam Gyimah.
Former Conservative leadership candidate. Well, when I say he was a candidate, he said he was going to be a candidate and then dropped out like last minute. Because he's running as a Lib Dem.
Yeah.
Anna Salisbury, of course, is running as a beautiful Change UK MP.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting to see them lose their seats. I think they're going to be losing their seats.
I bet she will.
And what about that Labour MP, Chuka? I can't remember his last name.
I can't pronounce it.
The Labour, then Change UK, now Lib Dem spokesperson. I mean, he's changed parties 3 times in a year.
Shall we check? Do a quick check on last election to see if they're going to keep their seats. So, who should we look at first? Let's look at Anna.
Let's look at Sam. Anna Salisbury, right?
What's her constituency?
I have no idea. You'd have to type in her name.
Let's find out the constituency, then we can find the data. So
I think it's somewhere in Cambridge. I'm not really very sure.
Oh
no, that was Heidi Allen's
in Northamptonshire. Brox Towie. So, looking at results from last year. So, to be fair, it was quite close between Conservatives 46.8 and Labour was 45.3.
Ooh, quite marginal.
It's quite close. Liberal Democrats got 4%.
Yeah, but remember, is this Anna Salisbury's seat?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's running as Change UK. So you have to wonder.
No. They've changed the name again.
Oh, sorry.
It's now Independent Group for Change. They've changed it again.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot. I think the Independent Group for Change, if it gets any votes, because Anna Salisbury has not exactly got a cult of personality.
No.
I think it would take stuff from Labour rather than Conservatives, because the Independent Group for Change they did have more Labour MPs in them than Conservative MPs at one stage. So I don't know. I think it'd be a marginal. It depends if Anna Salisbury makes any impact whatsoever.
Let's check out our good old friend Chuka.
Oh, Chuka. And then can we do Sam? Because Sam is a great guy. Actually, I can look up Sam. Look.
Well, you see, the thing is with Chuka, he doesn't seem. He's not actually running.
You are kidding, nah.
No, he's not down for election in that constituency unless he's changed. Oh. I bet he's changed constituency.
Oh, I bet he has.
Wait.
Let me have a look.
Because he was from. Yeah, he's changed his. I think he's changed. If he's not running for election, he's changed his seat.
I'm pretty sure he's changed his constituency. I'm surprised if he isn't running. He is.
Oh, I can't find it out.
He was Member of Parliament for Streatham.
He's vacated South London seat to fight the cities of London and Westminster for the Liberal Democrats.
Oh, so he's not actually running as an MP?
No, he is running. He's just going to.
Oh, he's heading
of London and Westminster constituency.
Oh, of course. When the going gets tough, they change their seats. Because
that seat is 68.5% Labour from last election. and 6.5% Liberal Democrat. So you can see why he left.
Yep, you can see it. Wait a minute. Sam Giamami isn't running in constituency either.
Are they all changing? Oh, for God's sake. Sangima, where's he running now?
I have no idea. Constituency.
He was East Surrey. He was East Surrey.
Oh, he's standing in Kensington.
Oh, where you're from? Oh, where you're from, Tommy?
Oh yes, I forgot. Of course, Kensington. Right, Kensington. Let's see. Is this more of a marginal than his current constituency?
So he was Surrey East. Surrey East voted 60%. You can see what it's showing. 60% Conservative, 10% Liberal Democrat.
And now let's see. I'm gonna have a look at Kensington for you to see what their of course, Kensington is a marginal.
Yeah.
It's a marginal Conservative and Labour seat.
In the last election, they both got 42.2% of the vote. Liberal Democrats 12.2.
So I don't know why Sam Giamami. This is what's so funny about all these converters. They've
20
left
votes. What's the difference?
And are running in other constituencies. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Absolutely ridiculous.
It really doesn't. Oh, and what about our friend David Gork, who's running as an independent?
I'm surprised he's still running. Bless him.
Yep, David Gork is running as an independent. The man who said that a Conservative majority government is a bad outlook for the country. His seat is in southwest Hertfordshire.
Hertfordshire, Tommy. Hertfordshire.
Wait, he's not running either by the looks of things.
Has he changed his mind?
No, I can be sure he's running. I heard it on the radio yesterday. Nah, come on. Where's this man running? Has he changed his seat as well? He's standing as an independent, apparently. But where's he as an independent? Oh no, he's going to contest Southwest Hertfordshire. Hertfordshire?
Not Hertfordshire, Tommy.
Hertfordshire.
Hertfordshire, not Hurt.
Hertfordshire. As an independent, apparently he represents a form of liberal conservatism.
Does he fuck?
And he says the Conservative Party have got Brexit badly wrong. Apparently.
Well, he's not going to have his job anymore because this is a 60% Conservative seat.
And if he really thinks that he's going to be able to take away an amount that big, I think he's wrong, to be honest.
He's going to get screwed.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing all these converters get. I mean, I look at how many have stepped down already. Even good old Philip Hammond has decided he won't contest his seat because the problem is Amber Rudd, Philip Hammond, Heidi Allen. They don't want to go through the embarrassment of losing their seat because they know that they know that it will just make them look pathetic. I mean, can you believe it? Former Chancellor loses his.
That would be embarrassing.
It just doesn't look very good. This general election marks the beginning of a fresh-faced parliament. A lot of new faces coming into parliament. Hopefully, loads of new Conservative faces coming into parliament. I just really hope that it's going to be a Conservative majority. Matthew says he can't stay up on election night, but I'm sure he'll be awake at 10 o'clock to at least see the exit poll come through in all its glory. I already I haven't bought it yet. However, I will be buying a tub of Ben and Jerry's ice cream to put in the freezer. And if it turns out that the exit poll says the Conservatives are going to form a majority government, then I'll be eating that Ben and Jerry's ice cream. And if it says the Jeremy Corbyn has won, then I'll be again going to the freezer and eating a entire bowl of Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
Do you know what I would love to see? Do you know what I'd love to see?
What?
Boris Johnson lose his seat to Lord Buckethead. Because he's running in Boris's constituency this year. Last year,
He always runs.
he ran in Theresa
Every-
May's constituency last election. In fact,
He
no.
always-
Actually, no. Lord Bucketface, he's rebranded himself.
Has he?
Yeah, he's now Lord Binface.
Ha.
Have you
know
seen-
what,
he's literally wearing a big bin on his head now.
You know what? The one I'm looking, the one result I'm hoping to see, and I can't believe I'm saying this. I hope the SNP gain this seat. I hope Jo Swinson loses her seat because no one seems to be talking about it. But Jo Swinson's seat is in Scotland,
Yeah,
and
she's
she
not.
lost it in 2015
Yeah.
to an SNP candidate. Wouldn't it be great if she lost her seat? The Lib Dems' rising star, the face of Remain, loses her seat.
Yeah.
That would just be a
I want
beautiful
to
sight.
see. She lost the seat in 2015. I want to see.
Yeah, she lost her seat. I don't know if it was how much it was by, but she did lose her seat.
I want to see what the margins are for Jo Swinson.
However, quite a few. I mean, even Gordon Brown's Scottish constituency went to SNP in 2015, I think. So the SNP is strange. They win by
So,
big margins.
Let's look at the results from last year. To be honest, there was a decent margin. 40.6% for Liberal Democrats, 30.3% for SNP. So I don't know. It's possible.
It depends. I suppose we have to. I suppose I should think about that. In 2015, Lib Dem support was at probably its lowest point in history.
Yeah.
That was
To be
actually
honest,
quite funny.
To be honest, I don't think it's going to be too much higher.
Yeah, but during the 2015 election, don't you remember they went like 47 MPs to 8 MPs? It was quite funny, but also you felt sorry for Nick Clegg.
I reckon that they will make gains. Not by too much, though.
I think.
I don't think
They'll get about. They'll go up from like 12. I mean, we're going by what they got in the last election, not by what they have now.
Yeah.
I think they'll go from 12 to 20.
Possibly.
Something like that. I don't think they're going to have a massive breakthrough. They're not going to become opposition.
No.
God, no. The government.
Imagine if they did become the opposition.
That would be really interesting. Actually, I'd probably laugh because Jeremy Corbyn has kind of been reduced to third party state. That would be ironic.
That would be funny, but it's not going to happen. Like, it won't happen, but it would be funny if it did.
No. Well, people say this every election. I'm getting sick of hearing it. The Lib Dems are going to have a massive breakthrough. They've said that the last 3 general elections.
We're going to be in number 10.
In 2010, under Nick Clegg, they're going to have a massive breakthrough. In 2017, under Tim Farron, they're going to have a massive breakthrough.
Oh, God.
In 2019, under Jo Swinson, they're apparently going to have another massive breakthrough. How many massive breakthroughs can one party get before they realise that they are just a small fourth party? They are the fourth party in the House of Commons now. To be honest, I don't see them making massive gains.
No.
Unless she does a brilliant debate performance which takes everyone by surprise.
It's still not going to happen.
No.
She's campaigning to be Prime Minister.
Change. People don't like change. They might say they do, but when it comes to voting for Conservatives or Labour or one of the smaller parties, 9 times out of 10 they vote for Conservative or Labour because they know that those candidates have the best possible chance of forming a majority government, whereas the Lib Dems, the SNP can't anyway.
Yeah.
But all of those parties, they don't have a chance of forming a government.
No, realistically, that's like linking back to the main debate that we had yesterday. of why it was just Jeremy Corbyn or Boris Johnson, because they're the only two that could be Prime Minister.
Yeah, yeah, and history. I know people will say history teaches us that once upon a time Labour were like the third largest party, and they and they became the opposition after overtaking rules back in the 1920s.
Yeah.
But that was back then. We're not there at the moment. From if in order for Labour to lose the amount of seats which they'd lose opposition status, Corbyn would have to be running in the polls at like 10% in order to lose all of those seats. People vote Lib Dems, and I think a YouTuber I was watching explained this. Lib Dem voters are basically they're a certain type of voter. They're the urban, middle class, graduate, educated kind of person. They're usually but you know what I mean. They're not usually working class, and they're not upper class. They're usually around the middle class. A lot of uni graduates vote Lib Dems. A lot, I think, to be honest, Lib Dem is a party you vote for when you're not happy with the Conservatives or Labour. That's what
Pretty
historically
much.
you vote Lib Dem for. I don't know what it'd be like this time, because Lib Dem are the Brexit party, the Remain party,
anti-Brexit party.
They're the Remain party. And just well, actually, speaking of the Brexit party, have they actually decided to dissolve the party yet, or are they still running Canada?
No, they are still running.
Because I've heard like nothing from them at the moment.
Oh.
They've lost.
They're on tour.
All of them.
They're on tour at the moment. See, look, the show's on the road at the moment.
The Brexit party just seem to have no hope of winning any seats.
Yeah.
None whatsoever, I don't think.
I don't know about winning seats, probably not. But the thing is, you got to worry about is splitting votes.
Yeah, but I think that's why Farage was right to kind of step down all of these candidates from certain.
Yeah.
Because he knows that vote splitting. He knows that there's the so-called Remain alliance going on. So I think Farage is right to step down all these candidates. The only places that Farage is really seeming to focus on is in Wales and the north of England, which historically are not very good Tory areas anyway. So I think, to be honest, Farage has kind of basically said to the public, don't vote Brexit party. I'm just doing this for my ego, basically.
Yeah.
And that's what I see Farage doing. He's just doing this for his ego, really.
Yeah. I don't know, you think you'd probably look a bit stupid if he decides to then pull the candidates right away and say, oh, no.
Well, that's what I think. I think Farage was trying to bully Boris Johnson into kind of going for a no deal. Yeah. And then when he found out that Boris weren't going to go for it, that's when he had to back down.
Yeah.
It was basically, he was trying to force the Conservatives into doing something which they weren't going to do. So in the end, he was forced to kind of say, okay, I've lost. I'll step down.
Yeah, it's all to play for, as they would say. So, who knows? Who knows what might come through? It's all to play for.
Well, I'm sure when they have the debate on the 29th. When is the 29th?
9 days from now.
Oh, that's Friday. Next Friday. I will probably be at work. Actually, no, I will be at work. I'm sure we'll talk about that though at one point when it gets there.
Yes. Right.
It's good.
Well, that's a little bit of the contemplating debating for this week. Thank you everyone for watching. I think we're going to probably wrap it up there, shall we?
Yes. Thank you for watching. You've probably heard me talk a lot more than Matthew because I just ramble. I ramble really well.
Like an old man.
So that's it's because I don't talk to anyone. You see,
Ah.
so
Well,
yeah, I'm a
guys,
very lonely man.
we're gonna wrap it up there. Thank you for watching. We will return soon on TPN Podcast, and we hope you've enjoyed our little debate on the debates, and also going through statistics on who might keep the seat, who might lose, and why some of the Lib Dems are absolute pussies because they're changing their seats because they want to lose. Anyway, with that
And
said,
if you have any thoughts, then just let us know what you think. If you think we're right, wrong, whatever.
Anyway, with that said, we're going to get on out of it then, Tommy. So, thank you for watching. We'll catch you again soon.
Goodbye, everybody.